Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session. I hope you are all safe. My name is Rimaljit Kaur. I have around 7 years of experience as a software engineer. My expertise are uh, lies in software testing. First of all, I would like to thank Women Tech Network for providing this amazing platform where we can share our knowledge as well as we get to learn from different presenters across the globe. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about quality assurance and how we can achieve it. Let me quickly share my screen as well and we'll get started. I hope you all can view my screen. All right. So, what is quality assurance? In general, QA is to make sure that the products that we are going to deliver are free of any sort of damages and those satisfies the customer expectations as well. So, let's take an example. Say in a restaurant, a customer has asked for a specific dish with 3 to 4 ingredients to be added in a certain amount. Now, in order to prepare that dish, the chef needs to keep in mind all the specifications that the customer has asked for. Now, the chef has added 3 ingredients but forgotten one, or did not add the exact amount that the customer specified. And when that product or the dish is delivered to the customer is not gonna be happy about it. Now, what if we had someone to ensure that the exact ingredients are added in the exact amount in that dish? Then we would be in a we would be able to deliver the exact product or the dish to the customer. Now, that person is our QA person or the quality engineer. The same role of QA is exactly that to make sure that the software that we are going to deliver, it meets the expectation of the customer and it is defect free. Now, moving on to the purpose of quality assurance and why it is so important. It is important because it provides the confidence that the quality requirements will be fulfilled. How that is achieved? It is by going through each and every requirement. So most of us are working in agile and we are getting new stories each sprint. So we need to make sure that we have gone through the requirements, understood the requirements, and verified that those requirements are fulfilled during our SDLC. It also ensure that clients' expectations are met in all aspects, whether it is UI, whether it is design, whether it is functionality, security, or performance. Each and everything should be met as per client expectations. It saves us time and money. Now, without QA, most bugs would potentially be bigger and maybe only caught in the testing phase after or after the project has been released. Then fixing these bugs would definitely cost a lot to the customer and business. So this is how quality assurance is saving us a lot of time and money as well. And the most important is customer satisfaction. It is meant to deliver a defect-free software as well as to make sure that the software that we are delivering is requires no maintenance or the least maintenance required for that particular software. Next, what are the different stages involved in testing? So in our software testing lifecycle, we need to follow certain steps or we need to go through phases to accomplish our software testing. First of all, it is review of requirements. So whenever we are getting new stories or new requirements for customer, we need to go through those requirements and understand the customer expectations, and we need to, if we are having any doubts or questions or clarifications, we need to reach out to the business to get those clarified. And also in this phase, we identify the types of tests to be performed, gather details about testing priorities and focus. And also we need to analyze that if we need to set up certain type of test data, or what is automation feasibility, what are the test cases that are automatable, that are not automatable. All these things we can identify in our requirement space. Next is test planning. Test planning is done by mostly by the team lead or the manager, and it is done once, and it is followed throughout the life cycle of the software development. It involves the test plan strategy along with the efforts and cost estimates for the project. Moreover, how many resources are required, what will be the test environment, test limitations, and the testing schedule. All these things are covered in test planning. And it also involves the test tool selection, whether it is for setting up any data or it is for selecting the automation tool, and even if the resources are required to undergo certain training for before getting into the test execution phase. Next, once the test planning is done, we have test designing, writing test cases, and a review of those test cases. So we need to identify what are the different types of use cases that can be there for our application, the happy path, the edge case scenarios, and the different negative test cases as well that need to be executed. And we need to send out those test cases to the business as well to and if there is any change or updates are required, business can review those and then they can get back to us, and we can accommodate those changes, and then again we can send for review once we have finalized the test design document. Next, we have test execution. Test execution is the most important phase of that is involved in testing. It is carried out by the testers, and they are going to carry out the testing of the test plans that they have created in the last phase. And if we have already prepared our test scripts, also automation test scripts, we need to execute that. We need to execute our test cases. We need to modify the test scripts if required, and we need to most important thing, we need to, if we find any issues, we need to create bugs for that, defects for that. We can, and we need to assign those defects to the developers by assigning the appropriate priority and what impact it can make. And then once those are fixed by developers, these will come back to QA for the retesting. We need to retest, and once we see that those issues are no longer present, we can just go ahead and close those defects. So this test execution, the activities that we carry out is executing the test as per plan, then document the test results and the logging defects, and retest the defect fixes, and track the defects to closure. So let's say we can come across a certain use case which was not anticipated by the business also before, and we have come across only while we are actually testing the application. So for these scenarios, we have created a defect, moved it to development, but even the developers are not sure about what they need to do. So we need to follow up with business, and we need to get the clarity that whether this will be fixed now, will be implemented now, or this will be taken up as a separate enhancement or story at a later stage of development. So as a deliverable, we'll be delivering the test case results after our test execution is done, and we'll be delivering the defect reports. We'll be sharing it with the management. Then we have performance testing and security testing. Now these two are non-functional type of testing, but these are also equally important. Like performance testing is done to validate the speed, the responsiveness, the memory utilization, or how our application will behave under certain amount of load. All this is done in performance testing, and it is carried out by a specifically skilled tester. Thoroughly it needs to be done. Next, in security testing, it's a testing technique which we need to perform in order to check whether there are any risk or threats in our application, or to make sure that there are no security vulnerabilities in our application. Again, this also needs to be performed by a security tester separately. Next, cross-browser testing or cross-platform testing. Now, this is an optional kind of phase. It can be done along with test execution, or it can be carried out separately, depending if our application is having more of a UX, UI experience, then we definitely need to carry out this activity. If we are just checking out something in the back end, only the functionality, we might not carry out this process, like testing our application across different browsers or different platforms. So it kind of depends on the product. Next is regression testing. So regression testing is all about retesting the functional and non-functional test to ensure that the application is still working fine, even if there are some changes that have been made to the application and the functionality has not been broken. It is usually done before moving to prod, in the pre-prod environment, and it is preferably done using automation, because by this time our automation scripts are also almost ready. So it is suggested to perform regression using our automation only. Then these were the steps, that different stages that we need to perform while doing our testing. Next one we have is a role of automation in testing. So automation certainly plays a crucial role in testing. It has huge benefits, and nowadays we cannot even imagine performing a quality assurance or testing process without having automation in place. So first one we can see is increased test coverage. It allows to cover lengthy test cases in less time. So automation testing can significantly improve the test coverage because of the speed of the automation tests. It can cover more test cases in less time, and there are automation tools which can run or perform a test unattended, which results in better utilization of time. So it saves time also. Next is improved accuracy. So while manual testing, there is always a possibility of having human errors, but with automation, no matter how minimal those errors can be, those are completely eliminated with the help of automation testing. Next is faster testing process. So automation testing is faster, definitely faster than the manual testing, because it involves the use of tools, and it gives an additional advantage to QA teams. It helps them to execute the test with ease and in a quickly manner, and also meeting the deadlines at the same time. Next is increased scope of software testing. So automation testing can execute test cases that are difficult to achieve with manual testing. For example, we need to test a certain test case which is having a different set of data inputs. So if we try to do that manually, it will take a lot of time, or we can say it is practically very difficult or impossible to achieve. But with automation testing, we can just give our data inputs, different data input in our data source, and we can just run the same test case over and over again. Then we have is earlier detection of bugs. So automation testing makes it possible to detect bugs during the early stages of the software life cycle. Whenever there is a change in the source code, or the test can be run automatically to detect any bugs if there are any changes. Moreover, the simultaneous running of test cases makes it possible to detect, to generate the detailed reports for easy comparison, like how the application was working before and how it is working now after there has been some modification in the application. So next, we have like multiple tools available for automation testing. I have just mentioned a few that I have personally worked on: Selenium, Appium, Test Complete. Test Complete and Catalan Studios are studios like these are IDs where we can just drag and drop. So any person with having uh, uh, very less coding skills, or even no coding skills, they are able to write automation scripts and perform automation testing with the help of these automation tools. So you can explore multiple other automation tools as well. So next one, we have how we can achieve quality assurance, or what are the things that we need to keep in mind when we are when we are trying to start with the quality assurance process or a testing process. First one is uh, create a robust testing environment, which involves building a robust testing environment means choosing the correct test platform, or choosing the correct test environment, like QA, whether it's QA or it's our pre-prod environment. We need to keep in mind that it should be exactly like a production environment. It should be a replica of the production environment. It also involves choosing the correct browser, or all the possible browsers that we need to test our application on, even the operating systems or all the different devices if we need to test our application or devices. Then it also involves the ability to decide the priority dependency of the test, like which test should be performed first, which will be performed at a later stage. All these things are part of this defining the test environment. Next one is we have is select release criteria carefully. Now, release criteria can also vary from project to project, but there are certain points that are, I think, common in for all the projects. Basically, almost all the projects will follow this criteria. So first thing is obviously the code should be working fine for the platforms wherever it is meant to be working. There should be no high priority defects open, and even if there are any open defects, there should be workarounds for defined for those bugs. Then we have all the planned QA test should be running fine, and features, whatever features we have planned for the release, those should be tested by the developers during their unit testing phase, should be tested by the QA, and should also be tested and verified by the business or end users on a high level, and then only it should be ready for the release, and it should be ready for release by a specific date that we have already decided before even starting our project or development. Next is allocate time appropriately for each process. So like we have already gone through all the different stages of uh, quality assurance that are involved in this process. So we need to properly allocate time for all those, like for test designing, like by this time test designing should be complete, or by this time we should start test execution, and this much time should regression testing be taking. So if we don't define those timelines, we will like never be able to achieve our deadlines on time. Next is prioritize bugs fixes based on software usage. So like earlier we have discussed, we need to clearly mention the priority of the defects that we are creating, whether it is a high or moderate or a low one, and assign to developers accordingly, because developers will be fixing those defects in order of the priority. So high priority bug should be fixed first, and then the low ones. Then form dedicated security and performance testing teams. So for security and performance testing, we should have dedicated teams, because for these types of testing, we need separate skills also, and this should be performed thoroughly. So once our functional testing is completed, we need to hand over the application to the performance team. Though it won't take much time, but it is equally important to have our performance and security aspects tested. Next one is simulate customer accounts similar to a production environment. So whenever we are testing in QA environment or pre-prod or in any staging environment also, we need to make sure that we are always testing as an end user. We are using the same like kind set of test data that an end user will be using, and we should never be testing in any dev environment. We should be testing in an integrated environment, and this holds for all types of environment testing environment. So we should always be testing in a as an end user, as an end user perspective. Yes, so that was it about this session. If you have any questions, hi Shimona, hi Carolina, you can ask in the chat. Do you have? Yeah, definitely. I will check for the online course, and I will let you know, Carolina. Sure. Thank you. And you can get in touch on this LinkedIn chat. Yeah, thank you so much. If there are no questions, we can just close our session. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, guys. Hi, Colette. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Please be safe and take care of yourselves and your families. Hope we'll see you again. Thank you so much. Bye bye.